What's up guys, Zero here, and we are here for our first tech profile of set 8. Set 8 being a gigantic 2-set month. The first one we're going to take a look at is technically the boss from this set is Fides, but realistically it's just Alt Mile plus. Fides is just kind of there. His support is honestly better than Fides himself, but regardless we'll take a look at the list. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck. So quite a few changes from the deck back from set 6, the set that's currently on global, but yeah, like I said before, this deck is basically just Tengen plus. It is the Alt Mile deck, but just has a better main deck with like Fides just being there. So yeah. So first off, take a look at the starter. For starter, I choose to play the Milius. I don't even think Milius was particularly that good. Before I was playing like Libergol, like back in like early set 6 Alt Mile. And honestly, I still would play it if Libergol was a 5k and had anti-retire, and that's what this guy is. He's 5k and anti-retire. Because this deck wants to aggro early, and having a non-scaling booster does hurt quite a bit for that. So I think this guy's good just because he has that. CB1 turns himself into an intercept, also very nice. Can turn himself into any intercept of your choice, which is pretty cool. So yeah. But the main reason I play is because he's a 5k booster and has anti-retire, meaning against matchups where it matters, you can actually sticks on the board against stuff like Kagero. So yeah. Pretty good there. Grade ones. I'll just quickly skimp over like the old stuff. For CCPG, for Tried Fodder, I personally choose to play the CCPG because I don't really value the Brave PG very much at all. I think the extra CB you get from CCing every once in a while off the PG does matter. The one extra CB with this deck basically signifies one extra check, or one extra check at when we're going for lethal. So I think personally value the CCPG a little more. And since I'm also not playing any like super like Brave Engine heavy cards, I don't have a way to search the PG anyway, so I think the CCPG is just a wee bit better. And then as for the rest of the great ones, all new cards. So first off, the new one of is Sonic Gal. His skill is Brave. So Brave his condition is you have to have 3 or less cards in hand. If you have 3 or less cards in hand, you will be in Brave, meaning all your skills will be alive. Just know that if you hit like a draw trigger in the middle of battle and go to 4, you instantly go out of the Brave state. So keep that in mind. So for example, his skills at the end of the turn, you can retire him to draw a card in CC2. If you're exactly 3 in mid battle phase, you hit a draw, you will no longer be in Brave. You will no longer be able to use this card. So just something to note there. But he's here just as a one of. Brave isn't something you want to be in like basically at all, just because that means you have like 3 cards in hand. It means you will just die. So yeah, so just here's a one of. I don't think I've ever actually used this skill before, but I also don't know what else I play in this slot, so that's why he's just here's the one of. But the new 4 of this deck is the Selim. So his skill is Brave. During both players' turn, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher Alt Mile, he gets plus 3k, so 10k booster or 10k attacker. But the main reason we play him is because he has an index skill where, not GB1 or anything, as long as your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher Alt Mile, he gets plus 1 grade in deck. Meaning he counts as a grade 2, meaning you now have searchable boosters. Before you were forced to play garbage cards like Tech Goal just to fill in a slot of having a searchable booster, but now you have access to 4 of this dude, and this dude is now the searchable booster for this deck, which I think is very, very, very good for this deck. So yeah, so sometimes 10k booster, but for the most part it's just a searchable booster, and this comes up a lot. I think this card is definitely a mandatory 4 in this deck now. So yeah, that's for the grade 1s. Grade 2s, a little more of a hodgepodge, but just how Alt Mile goes with this grade 2 lineup. So first off, we're playing 4 Benizal. I think this is the best grade 2 in the deck, so that's why we're playing 4 of it. His skill is GB1 on play if your Vanguard's a grade 3 higher Alt Mile, so last one, CB1 to call a grade 2 other than himself from the deck, and this unit gets plus 2k, so he himself represents 2 intercepts, so you can search anything you need, and on your Tengen turn, he's your primary call target to extend another attack to the other side, and all that cool stuff, which we'll get to when we get there, when we talk about Tengen. So just know that this guy signifies 2 bodies on board. He skills as a solo attacker. He's an attack extender. So just overall very good card you want to see the most often. So yeah, 4 of this guy. Next up we have 3 Twin Swords. GB1 when Zuna attacks, if he's boosted, when Zuna attacks Vanguard, if he's boosted CB1, call a card other than Twin Sword from deck. Call it grade 2 from deck other than Twin Sword. Again, another attack extender, really nice. The reason we cut down on him is because he's mainly just used as an attack extender, and we really do need to make space for the other grade 2s in the deck. So As for old cards, we have Mr. Fragment. His skill is GB1. If you have another grade 2 or higher rear, he gets a plus 2k, and on hits counter Soul Charge 1. So he has a solo attacker, and he's a CC for that, which is really nice. We have Blaster Blade Spirit on play from deck. CB1 retire grade 2 or lower. Grade 2 or higher points front row. So retire is pretty cool. CB1 retire is pretty nice, and then when he gets it, he dies. Does that, and then finally the new grade 2 we're playing is the Suleiman, or the Sussy Man, I like to call him. But his skill is Brave during either player's turn. If Vanguard's a grade 3 or higher alt mile, he gets plus 3k. So 12k attacker or intercepts doesn't come too often because you're in Brave, you're probably dying, and if the opponent's ripping cards out of your hand, means he's already dead. So meaning there, he just sometimes a 12k attacker. But his skill, his main skill reason you play his skill is because he has the skill GB1. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher alt mile. CB1 and discard 1 to call a grade 2 from your deck other than a copy of himself, and then I think the unit you call gets plus 2k. So he's yet another attack extender. So before, if you didn't know, if you didn't already know it, I should say, the Tengen kill turn is like a rear, assuming you know blast with them, then you go like rear, Tengen swing, Tengen skill, call Benizol call Twin Sword, and then Benizol swing, Twin Sword, boosted swing, calls on the other side, so you get 4 checks to base. With him now, you can go, instead of calling Twin Sword off of the Benizol, you can call him now. So you go Vanguard swing, you go Benny unboosted, this guy unboosted because he does not need to be boosted like Twin Sword. This guy called Twin Sword to the other side, and then Twin Sword can swing boosted and call something else over him after his attack. So with this, you just get, if you have 1 extra CB, 4 CBs is now 5 checks at 5. So definitely very nice. Extra attack center is always nice, yeah. And he also has Brave keyword, which is relevant for if you go into fight, if you ever want to fight it. So yeah, pretty good card, pretty nice addition to the deck, and yeah, that's it for the grade 2s. Grade 3s are the triggers, heal guards. Next, 4 alt mile, GB2, everything front row gets plus 5, and then on stride, you can call up to 2 cards from hand, get 5k, put a grade 2 look and drop back to deck. So main ride, names important, skills very good, skills all your boosters, put recycles grade 2s, always nice. So yeah. Next up, the next new grade 3 we play is this other man on horse. I don't know his name, but his skill is GB1 when attacking a Vanguard plus 4k. So that's not the reason why we play him. The reason we do play him is because he also has the index skill. So in deck, if you are in Brave, he gets -1 grade, meaning if you're in Brave, he counts as a grade 2 in the deck, meaning as a last resort. If you're just out of grade 2s, which happens a lot in this deck, because you're just ripping all of them out with all your skills, you can just call him as a last resort as a card just to swing with, off of like a Benizol, a Twin Sword, the Suleiman, or whatever. So having an emergency grade 2 is better than having whatever grade 3 you want to be playing this slot, because I don't think you have space for against the Lost Blade anymore. So for this guy, and then one of this guy, I don't even know what he does. I think it's like GB1 Brave. I think it's like on hit, you can CB1 to call a grade 2, or you can call a grade 2 from deck and then give it 2k or something like that. I've never used her skill. This girl, I never used her skill before, but I think after looking at all the cards, this is like the most somewhat useful card where skill actually might come up. So that's why I choose to play one of hers as the filler. But yeah, this last slot doesn't really matter that much in my opinion. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. G Zone, we play 1 Harmonics, so we have space for it. 2 Saint Blow, G Flip, he gets 3k per rear, and then all your grade 2s get anti-retire, gets a crit as well. He gets a crit as well, so that's pretty cool there. You have space for it now with the 12 card G Zone, so very nice option to have just in there. 1 Gabblade, on hit, call a deck, search deck and call for grade 2. You only ever need 1 because you only ever go into discard first ride. Afterwards, you just go Tengen or Aerial, or I guess now Fides. So Gabblade, just 1 is enough because 1 is your first ride. That's all he's there for. Next up, I'm still playing 4 Air Miles, but honestly you can cut this card down to 2 and play like a Samuel or another Gabblade in this live if you want. But his skill is string your front row gets plus 3k, and then GB2 on play G Flip, call any grade 2 from deck, give it plus 5k. So Air Mile is useful as flip fodder for Tengen. He's useful as a second stride sometimes if your opponent just heal down to him, choosing to slightly push. He's sometimes useful as a first stride just to scale lanes and push your opponent's no intercepts. But if you're doing that now, at this point, you might as well go into Fides. So we'll go into that as we talk about get to Fides. But Air Mile is mainly here as Tengen flip fodder for the most part. So yeah, for aerials, you can definitely cut down to 3 if you want and play something else from last up. I have 4, so I will play the 4. Next up, we have the true all-star of the deck, like the actual main finisher of the deck, the Tengen alt mile, the Transcending the Heavens alt mile. His skill is on place. If your part is an alt mouse, you can CB1. Flip anything from your G zone up face up. So with this case, it's basically reads flip aerial because that's what you want. And then he gains the fallen ability when it's doing attacks the Vanguard. When it's doing attacks the Vanguard, call any grade 2 from deck, give that unit plus 5k. And for every face up copy you have of aerial in your G zone, your front row gets plus 2k. So the more aerials you have face up, the more power you get. And then the unit you call gets plus 5. Just so he's just an attack extender. Again, the combo line with this is assuming no retires, rear to rear, Van call Benizol call Suleiman, Benizol swing, unboosted, Suleiman swing unboosted, Suleiman skill, call Twin Sword, and then to the other side, and then Twin Sword swing boosted, call something to the other side after that. So that's the main extension of the deck. If you have 5 CB, you can technically loop like twins. You can technically go Benizol or Benizol, Suleiman, Twin Swords, Suleiman, and then something else allows. Like you technically do that as well, but rarely ever will you have 5 open CV, and rarely ever will they not die by some attack in the middle there. So yeah, the combos are pretty straightforward, but this card is definitely a very good finisher because you also skill out your lanes as well. So very good card, but you definitely will not need more than 2 of it because you will never need to go into this card more than twice because they'll probably be dead by then. And finally, the new quote-unquote support sticker is the Fides. So his skill is once per turn, flip anything your G zone face up, and then discard 1 card from hand to do the following 2 things. Call any grade 2 from deck, and if the card you called has the Brave ability, you draw 1, so you refund the discard cost, and then he gains the ability GB3 Brave when it's doing attacks. If you have a face-up copy of itself in your G zone, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and give plus 5k to 2 of your units. So this second skill I have never used before. This first skill comes up sometime when you try into it because you just ditch any card to call either like the Selim, the Grey One booster, you call a Suleiman to the front and just attack with. And the reason why I like Fides is because Fides is the call skill is unlocked on GB2, meaning you can stride Fides, use a skill to call a booster to set up for next turn, and then also flip an aerial to set up for next turn after that to make your calm skill better on your tanking turn. So this card fills the role of giving you a first stride when your opponent has no intercepts, because when you first stride Gabble and your opponent has no intercepts, your attack pattern is like super awkward and basically just doesn't work half the time. But with Fides, instead of just going like vanilla aerial and just swing 3 times, which is still alright, Fides lets you set up your next turn by giving you boosters, as well as flipping the aerial face up that you would have gone face up from striding the aerial by itself. So I think this is a very good setup card where if you can afford to go into it, you do, but you don't go into this card every game. So it's just a card that's nice to have. So yeah, Fides just kind of there. I'm pretty sure I don't ever go into Fides into any of the in any games to show you guys, but Fides is an option there. Just know that he's basically there as a first stride to set up your aerials and set up your board for the following Tengen turn to kill, because Tengen is still your main finisher of this deck, definitely not Fides yet. So that's it for this deck profile. Some games for you guys as per usual, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.